Everybody, welcome to the show today, guys. We got some great news. More information is coming out now that DOGE, Elon, the team, even Scott Bessent, our Treasury Secretary, have announced some major changes moving forward that is going to take care of Americans big time. And this is for all Americans. Moving forward, things will never be the same, guys. This is so amazing what I'm about to tell you. Especially for those on Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, Scott Bessent and Elon Musk are going to set up to require reauthorization of all payments made from the U.S. Treasury. There's about 1.5 billion that are made each year, and using technology in 1 year, they said they will cut out $1 trillion, guys, $1 trillion in waste, fraud, and abuse. And in turn, Elon Musk has doubled down on giving this back to Americans and to our seniors, SSI, SSDI, those on Social Security, as soon as this is implemented. This is great news for people, not only because they earned it, but they deserve it. This is for Americans. Elon came out and said, I feel confident that the goal of slashing $1 trillion in federal spending can be achieved without impacting crucial government services. And now that we have Scott Bessent, who is our Treasury Secretary, who is doubling down, this is what I'm talking about, guys. Action and actually putting it forward so that the American people can feel it. They also are shedding light into a lot of wasteful spending that happened during the Biden administration. Think about this, guys. $42 billion was spent and wasted to give. It was wasted, but it had good intentions. They wanted to give everybody in America fast internet. Well, over 4 years, 0 homes got internet. And now we actually have the details of why. It was funneled through administrations, bureaucrats, and the deep state. Waste, fraud, and abuse. They could have taken that $42 billion and given everybody on Social Security a nice $1,200 check if they have chosen that. But this is, again, exposing all the lies, exposing all the fraud, and then giving it back to the American people. We also have where even RFK has said we're not going to cut services. We're not going to cut Medicaid. We're not going to cut Medicare. We're going to provide services, but more efficiently. United States will no longer provide aid to Ukraine for free, Zelensky says. DOGE revealed that the IRS has 1,400 employees whose job it is to hand out cell phones and laptops. 1,400 employees. Lots of changes coming, everybody. I want to say thank you to everybody who's watching, to all of our subscribers, to all of our viewers. Thank you so much for your support. We couldn't do this without you. If you want to be, and thank you to all of our members. You are, guys, y'all hold this channel up. We're so excited about where things are going. If you want to be a member of the channel, the link is in the description to join. And if you want to join the TrueLife News family just by subscribing, guys, we really appreciate it. And want to give love to everybody that gives a super chat donation and say thank you to everybody. If you don't mind doing a thumbs up hitting that thumbs up like button, guys, it really does help out so much with growing this channel. We love and appreciate you so much. We got a lot to jump into, guys. This is getting deep, but it's in a very good way for the American people, putting Americans first. Check this out.
Is the battle between government of decades and decades of buildup and business, which you guys are, is that like a train hitting each other? I mean, it seems like it's pretty disruptive.
Well, this is a revolution, and I think it might be the biggest revolution in government since the original revolution. But at the end of the day, America is going to be in much better shape. America will be solvent. The critical programs that people depend upon will work, and it's going to be a fantastic future. But are we going to get a lot of complaints along the way? Absolutely. You know, one of the things I learned at PayPal was who complains the loudest and with the most amount of fake righteous indignation? The fraudsters. It's a tell. There's some of these NGOs that are crazy, like the $2 billion to Stacey Abrams' NGO that basically didn't exist and suddenly gets $2 billion awarded from the federal government. She says, why? And there are many such cases like that.
I think that most people, common sense-wise, would say the fraud's got to end.
Yeah.
They're concerned about the 94-year-old mother who skips a check or somehow doesn't get what she's supposed to get.
Right. And what we're trying to say is actually that the 94-year-old grandmother is actually, as a result of DOGE's work, going to get her check. She's not going to be robbed by fraudsters like she's getting robbed today. And the solvency of the federal government will ensure that she continues to receive those Social Security checks, that Medicare continues to work, without which we're all doomed. The reason we're doing this is because if we don't do it, America's going to go insolvent. We're going to go bankrupt. And nobody's going to get anything.
Why are you guys all doing it? I mean, you can pipe up, but you don't have to be here, right? I mean, you don't have to be doing this.
I have blessed with four beautiful children, my wife and I. But we have a real fiscal crisis, and this is not sustainable. And what's worse, back to my children and everyone else's children, is we are burdening them with that debt. And it's only going to grow.
Steve, there's not a lot of hierarchy here. You guys are kind of all approaching it in different, silos, but with the same kind of goal, right? I mean, this is really Silicon Valley, private sector colliding with government.
Yeah, exactly. And we're headed in a bad path, but the chance of success exists. And just the one that just is in my head right now, which is a fairly mundane one, but I think is very illustrative, is credit cards. There are in the federal government around 4.6 million credit cards for around 2.3 to 2.4 million employees. This doesn't make sense.
Right.
And so one of the things all of the teams have worked on is we've worked with the agencies and said, do you need all of these credit cards? Are they being used? Can you tell us physically where they are?
I hope they're getting frequent flyers.
Actually, on a different note, the rewards program the federal government has is actually not very good. That's a whole other...
It's a negotiation.
Sure, yeah, exactly. But so far, the teams have worked together, and they've reduced it from 4.6 million to 4.3 million. So
we're taking it easy. But clearly there should not be, more. There should not be more credit cards than there are people. Yeah.
Joe, middle-level employees, are they seeing a benefit to being empowered by taking out bureaucracy? I mean,
absolutely. I mean, I think what you're seeing is taking the best of Silicon Valley and the business world and bringing it into the government. We're bringing the best practices and the best methodologies, and people are inspired. Right, especially on the retirement process, which I can speak to. They've been trying to modernize and get off of paper since early 2000s, very unsuccessfully. Every attempt has gone over budget and been canceled because it hasn't been successful. And so, I showed up and I feel like I'm here because it's an interesting problem. We can use design to solve it and good engineering, and really create a better experience for everybody.
We're talking about elementary financial controls that are necessary for any company to function. So, like, if the federal government, if a commercial company operated the way the federal government does, then it would be immediately go bankrupt. It would be delisted. The officers would be arrested. And the changes we're putting in place will enable the federal government to pass an audit. It will enable taxpayers to know where the money is going and know that their hard-earned tax dollars are being spent well.
Yes.
But the ways that the government is defrauded is that the computer systems don't talk to each other. So if the computer systems don't talk to each other, then you can exploit that gap, and fraudsters exploit that gap to take advantage. For example, there were over $300 million of small business administration loans that has been given out to people under the age of 11.
Well, actually, to add to it, it's 300 million under the age of 11 and over 300 million to over the age of 120.
Definitely.
Small business loans.
Correct.
Yes. The oldest American is 114. So it's safe to say if their age is 115 or above, they're fake. Or they should be in the gangs.
Guys, that's $600 million. $600 million of fraud that our government couldn't catch because government just sucks at what it does. So inefficient. If you appreciate this, guys, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, I am so thankful that you have a group of people that are super successful that do not have to do this, but are doing this because they want to see their country succeed.
Guinness Book of World Records. And we should not be giving out loans to babies. So the youngest recipient of a Small Business Administration loan is a 9-month-old, which is a very, very precocious baby we're talking about here. So obviously it was just fraudulent. And they do terrible things. They actually will see that a kid's been born. They will steal that kid's social security number and then take out a loan and leave that kid with a bad credit rating. There was literally a baby. The terrible things are being done is what we're saying.
And how?
And we're stopping these terrible things.
And you can stop it? I mean,
well, we are stopping it.
The reason this is
Absolutely.
happening is because the two systems are not talking to each other.
Yes.
Right? And so you don't know at the Small Business Administration that you're giving a loan to a 9-month-old, which happened in one case, because you're not cross-referencing that with the Social Security Administration data that has birth dates. So that very, very simple fix eliminates tremendous fraud. And that there are multiple systems across the government where the systems are not speaking with one another. And if you just solve that simple problem, you would solve a huge amount of fraud.
Are you
so one of the ways that, like one of the key tricks that the fraudsters pull is that they will use the fact that someone is marked as live and as sort of just that social security number is marked as live in Social Security, and then get disability and unemployment insurance for a dead person. Because the databases don't talk to each other, all they got was from Social Security is like, is this person alive? Yes, they're not alive. It's falsely marked. Person is falsely marked as alive in Social Security, but they didn't. But that person, a fraudster can now get unemployment and disability from a dead person. This is happening all the time at scale.
Are you surprised at some of the legal efforts and some of the judges that have weighed in? There's about 8 or 10 now of these cases that are at least temporary holds. They're being challenged by the DOJ.
Right.
Are you surprised by that pushback?
Well, it's the D.C. Circuit is notorious for having a very far-left bias. And when you look at the people close to some of these judges, where are they working? Oh, they're working at these NGOs. Oh, they're the ones getting this money. Does that seem like a system that lacks corruption? It sounds like corruption to me.
Last thing, do you guys all see this as a patriotic duty? I mean, is that really what this is about?
It's essential.
I do, 100%. I was running 5 businesses in Houston, and I left that. I left great people to do this, and my wonderful wife said, go for it. And here I am. But I feel like this is me giving back to the country.
If we don't do this, we're sunk. The ship, unless this exercise is successful, the ship of America will sink. That's why we're doing it.
Well, gentlemen, I really appreciate the time.
Guys, you can't make this up, guys. That is genuine. It's not about we're getting the credit. It's not about we're trying to get this. No, it's like, look, we have to save America. True patriotism. When was the last time you ever saw a Democrat sitting in a seat like that and say, well, actually, you know, Elon Musk was a Democrat, but sitting in the seat and saying, you know what? We just got to do it. We have to fix things. It's a non-negotiable. We cannot, because if not, in 9 years, Social Security is insolvent. Guess what? In 15 years, we're up to 50, 60 trillion dollars in debt, and it's not. We cannot continue like this. I love this, guys. I hope you do too. Elon Musk came out and said that he's confident that his goal of slashing $1 trillion in federal spending can be achieved without impacting crucial government services. This is phenomenal. Want to say thank you so much, Karen K, for the super chat. Let's go. Say a day with Joel is a day with the real news. Let's go, baby. I bring the receipts, guys. This is the other part. This is stuff that you literally cannot make up. They revealed, breaking news, that DOGE revealed that the IRS employs 1,400 people whose job it is to hand out cell phones and laptops. For whatever reason, guys, this is their sole purpose. It literally makes no sense. Guys, y'all make sure to show Karen some love in the chat, because this is the real news. It is mind-blowing. The resistance is getting stronger because they're digging deeper. And the more and more that we reveal, the more and more they're going to try to do anything and everything they can to fight Elon Musk. Check this out.
The resistance is ramping up their acts of Tesla terror, but they aren't sending their best. Meet the real Hot Wheels from Texas.
Oh, and by the way, this dude has been found, caught, and charged with a felony.
5'2", 450-pound fella who used his ATV for a Tesla hit-and-run spree. DeMarquin Cox was arrested yesterday, coincidentally the day after police found explosives at a Texas dealership. And Hot Wheels Cox ain't alone. The hits keep on coming. A millionaire fitness guru was caught keying a Tesla. This was during a parking lot showdown in Washington. Camelia Ensler is now facing charges of malicious mischief. In California, a Cybertruck owner is looking for this hooligan who keyed the entire side of his truck. The hooligan did it at a DMV.
Wow.
Now, I've been inspired to commit crimes at DMVs, but usually inside the DMV. And in New Hampshire, some dude vandalized the Cybertruck, got caught, and played dumb.
You don't know what happened here? No. So, you want to talk about what happened here? Yeah. No. Okay. I don't know what happened. You didn't see that Tesla? No. Okay. Well, we have something. Okay.
In Vegas, police officers nabbed the guy who burned down a Tesla dealership last week. And wouldn't you know, he's a commie.
The preliminary assessment of the suspect's social media activity indicates some very loose but self-proclaimed ties to the Communist Party USA social media group, as well as social media groups called Revolutionary Communist International, Hidden Palestine, Palestine Action, and a variety of other social media groups. Our searches revealed numerous items of interest to include multiple rifles, a shotgun, a handgun, and miscellaneous gun parts.
Paul Kim so far left, he's mad at Bernie for not being moderate. Elon says we don't just need to take down the Tesla terrorists, but the people inciting their attacks.
What's happening, it seems to me, is they're being fed propaganda by the far left.
Yep.
And they believe it. It's really unfortunate. The real problem is not the people. It's not like the crazy guy that firebombs a Tesla dealership. It's the people pushing the propaganda that caused that guy to do it.
Yes.
Those are the real villains here. And we're going to go after them.
But Democrats are siding with the terrorists. Congressman Dan Goldman says the FBI's Tesla Terror Task Force is the political weaponization of the DOJ. So according to Dan, arresting Trump 4 times is fine, but arresting communist arsonists armed to the teeth is out of line. While hefty Hot Wheels, vandals, and firebombers are destroying Teslas across the country, Big Balls and the DOGE boys are focused. And the chainsaw's gassed up. DOGE just announced over $500 million of freshly shaved pork. $10 million for gender equity in the Mexican workplace. $12 million for worker empowerment in South America. $4 million for assisting foreign migrant workers in Malaysia. $3 million to enhance Social Security access and worker protections for internal migrant workers in Bangladesh. Oh, and we spent $1 billion on a survey.
For you, what's the most astonishing thing you've found out in this process?
The sheer amount of waste and fraud in the government. Literally 10-question survey that you could do with SurveyMonkey, cost you about $10,000, the government was being charged almost $1 billion for that.
They're not just getting rid of wasteful spending. The DOGE team's also making sure Social Security is protected.
Yes.
And that everyone who's supposed to get their money gets it.
We learned 40% of the phone calls that they get are from fraudsters.
40%?
That's right. Almost half.
Yes, and they steal people's Social Security is what happens. Is they call in, they say, they claim to be a retiree, then they convince the Social Security person on the phone to change where the money's flowing. It actually goes to some fraudster. This is happening all day, every day. And then somebody doesn't receive their Social Security. It's because of all the fraud loopholes in the Social Security system.
While Musk saves money and fights fraud, Democrats are throwing a hissy fit.
Trump and Musk are just eroding the American dream. They're rigging the system for billionaires while stealing from the elderly, from the disabled, to cut taxes for their billionaire club.
Schumer's got the American dream backwards. The American dream's about working hard and making it big, not setting up a fake charity and siphoning cash from taxpayers. And if you ask Democrats, Schumer's about to get doged. He's fighting for his job harder than he's fighting for yours.
Guys, when I see those people that stand up there and literally lie to the American people about everything that they're doing just so that they can make sure to get paid, it literally just, to me, it's like pure evil. Like pure greed, that what these people are doing when you're trying to uncover the fraud, waste, and abuse. That's it. That's all you're trying to do. If you appreciate that, guys, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, thank you so much. I want to say thank you so much to Mr. Norby for the super chat. Let's go. He said, this is all the American toughness that I was raised seeing during the JFK years. It's y'all blessing American people who deserve this all in life. I'm glad to be alive and well and feeling blessed in America. Seeing these criminals all last night too. 100%. Y'all show Mr. Norby some love in the chat. And just letting y'all know too, guys, X is being attacked again. They did the Twitter platform, the X platform that Elon owns. It's literally being attacked again because he's exposing all this fraud. He's exposing the fraud, waste, and abuse, and they can't stand it. And so these people are literally trying to go after him in every way possible. Wanted to show you this too, guys, because I still got it up. I haven't. If I refresh, it's not going to load because these hackers are trying to tear down X right now. But this is crazy. The burden of we spent right here. The Biden administration spent $42 billion to expand broadband, which is internet, to more Americans and connected 0 homes in 4 years. Let's see if this plays.
Within 180 days, that's step one. Step two,
what he's doing is explaining how they spend $42 billion and literally got nowhere and gave nobody internet. The regulation, the bureaucrats, the deep state is real.
We have to issue the notice of funding opportunity within 180 days. That's step one. Step two, which all 56 state applicants completed, is states who want to participate must submit a letter of intent. After they do that, they can submit a request for up to $5 million in planning grants. Then the NTIA, step four, has to review and approve and award, again, planning grants, not broadband grants, planning grants.
And it's still at the NTIA. It's still at the first step.
All right, so the NTIA must issue a NOFO within 180 days. States who want to participate must submit their letter of intent. Step three, they can request up to $5 million in planning grants.
Just planning.
Just planning. Step four, the requests are reviewed, approved, and awarded by the NTIA, which currently all 56, 3 years later, all 56 applicants had passed through at least step five. It took more than 3 years. So it's a long time. States must submit a 5-year action plan. So the states kind of go back and they kind of think about how they're going to do this. And they don't just say, okay, thank you for the money. We're going to spend it. And you can see how it worked out later. We're like, here's our 5-year action plan. Then the FCC must publish the broadband data maps before NTIA allocates funds. So having done the NOFO, the letters of intent, the request for planning grants, then the review, approval, and awarding of the planning grants, then the 5-year action plans. In between that, the federal government has to put forward a map saying where it thinks we need rural broadband subsidies. And then, of course, the states need an opportunity to challenge the map for accuracy. And you can imagine this doesn't all happen in like a day. Okay, so then the NTIA, step 7, has to use the FCC maps to make allocation decisions. Then, having already done their letter of intent, their request for planning grants, it's hard even to talk about this, man. Step 7.
Do y'all see, guys, the deep state, how they made it so complex? So much steps, so much administration. That's why nothing ever gets done with the federal government. That's why you have the Pentagon who tried to fix something and had it done in 1996, is now 29 years past due, and it still ain't fixed. over almost $300 million over budget is because of this type of crap. It's when bureaucrats and administrators get in the way of actually doing things, and this is him going through the steps. And you know Jon Stewart, he's not no Republican, but he's over here blown out of his mind that this is the process of why we spent $42 billion, could have given everybody on Social Security a $1,200 check, and we got zero people got internet with $42 billion.
Is NTIA must use the FCC maps that were already challenged for allocation decisions. Then, having submitted all this, I think this one is actually quite amazing.
Yeah.
Having submitted their 5-year plans or letters of intent, step 8 is states must submit an initial proposal to the NTIA. Then,
is that the result of their $5 million planning fund? This is their notebook.
Well, I got to cut that out, but I'll make sure to cut that out. Let me see, 2655. You see that how bad this is, guys. You see how corrupt this is. That the system is so filled in with so much bureaucrats. This is why nothing ever gets done. Patricia Hedinger, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's go. Y'all show Patricia some love in the chat. Again, guys, this is why when we bring you this stuff, it is time for change. It is time to see things happen. And again, too, who's at the forefront? We got our boy, Steve Bannon. Check this out.
The best defense, as you know here in the war room, is a strong offense. It's time now to start going on offense. One of the, they are using the radical federal judiciary as the second prong or in this pincer move to try to disrupt, then destroy President Trump's second term. Or, if you want the analogy, like the anvil with the deep state being the hammer. And they've got these judges that are intruding in every case, and particularly the two things that are, well, let's go back. The theory of the case is quite simple. The unitary theory of the executive. We've said this over and over again for the last couple of years. This is something that was very well thought through, and you had people like Mark Paoletta and Jeff Clark and Stephen Miller and many others, you know, Bill McGinley, some of these great lawyers, both inside the administration, over the Justice Department, other agencies, and outside, that talked about the president being the chief executive officer of the United States government, and therefore had bandwidth, both on personnel and on spending to make decisions, to make executive decisions. Number two, he's the commander-in-chief of the military, and particularly the uniformed military services and all civilians associated with national security. He is the commander-in-chief, the office of the president, and the person who resides there, whether it's General Washington, Abraham Lincoln, or Donald J. Trump. Number third, he's chief magistrate and chief law enforcement officer of the United States government. And all these post-Watergate sealing off and hermetically sealing the Justice Department and the FBI from the office of the president, just not according to the Constitution, the way the country's set up. And so whether it's DOGE or whether it's President Trump doing executive orders or whether it's President Trump taking executive action or whether it's President Trump on a whole broad scope of things, effectuating and implementing the policies that he ran on that he told the American people about. And they had a time to weigh and measure it. 4 years after the stolen election, with virtually no media support, and all the institutions of the elites in our countries aligned against him. The American people of every race, ethnicity, gender, religion, voted for him overwhelmingly. Popular vote, huge blowout in the Electoral College, all the battleground states, huge shift in virtually every district in the country. And with demographic groups, whether it's African American, Hispanic, Asian, you pick it. And so now it comes down to time to implement it. What are they doing? They're relying principally upon a radical judiciary. This judiciary is it's a judicial insurrection leading to a judicial coup if we allow it. And we have to go on offense. President Trump says all the time, he says people don't understand tariffs. So Spencer Morrison, you clearly do, because you've made the case here that they are essential economic tool in the reshoring of manufacturing jobs to the United States. And you're not going to have a happy and healthy country until we return to be a manufacturing superpower, because that is the foundational element of America's greatest days. We were a manufacturing powerhouse. Alexander Hamilton, who I've always argued is as great of the founding of the revolutionary generation and then the founding generation as anyone, wrote something that I actually think is as important as the Declaration of Independence, because the Declaration of Independence is basically a declaration of war against the king.
Yes.
Should be, and I say all the time, it should be noted that the day it was announced and signed on July 2nd or 4th, you take your pick, is the day that the British Expeditionary Force, particularly its naval elements from Nova Scotia, where they had the army, start to land at Staten Island. It's not taught like that, but the reality is they knew it was time, and they knew it was going to be a war right then, a fight, a gunfight, and a big gunfight took place on Long Island. And guess what? We didn't win anything. Washington's greatness is he kept the army intact with defeat after defeat after defeat after defeat. What did that show? Grit and determination, just like Lincoln showed grit and determination, the rebirth of the nation. And President Trump shows it in returning America to her greatness. You can't, that's just all verbiage until you get down to the thing itself. And the central part of this is bringing back our manufacturing jobs. So men and women can go back to work in real jobs, productive jobs. That's the essence of this fight. It has geopolitical implications in all of this, but that is the essence of this fight. That's why it's burned into the soul of Donald Trump. That's why he talks about it all the time. This is the central reason to make America great again, is one of the central reasons he understood the open borders, and they were just flooding the zone with cheap labor, cheap, low-skilled labor. But you had to restore the manufacturing base. This is how we won. Remember, both times, well, we've won 3 times, but the 2 times they actually let us take it, in 16 and 24, we pierced the blue wall. That's not a random occurrence, folks. Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin were because of the analysis we did in places like Youngstown, Ohio. That's how we did it. It was working class people, including many Democrats, who came out and voted for President Trump.
Guys, if this is not cleaning up the deep state, I don't know what is. I want to say thank you to everybody who's watching. If you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, thank you so much for your support. I want to say thank you, Judy Lynn, for gifting 5 True Life News memberships. Let's go. Y'all show Judy Lynn some love if you got a membership, and some love in the chat for being an OG of the channel, guys. Y'all are so awesome, and thank you so much for your continued support. I want to show you this graph. This is from the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. This is what Elon is talking about. This is what RFK Jr. is talking about. That over time, if you look at this chart, look at the number of physicians from the 1970s and its growth to the number of administrators. They don't do anything to do with actually making you feel better. Look at the growth. Exponential growth in administrators. Why do you think your hospital bills are so expensive? Why do you think they don't even tell you or itemize how much things cost when you go to the hospital? This bureaucracy right here. They put lobbyists in place. They made it so that no matter what, it would be extremely difficult for you to actually know what the heck is going on and then just make you pay a big bill. Me and my wife had our twins. We get thank God we had insurance, but the total was like $42,000. And you know what? It was one line item. What did we all pay for? A lot of things happened over the course of 3-4 days. But this is what they're talking about cleaning up, because this is literally what it looks like in the federal government. The people that are actually doing things has not exponentially grown, but the amount of bureaucrats and administrators has 100% grown. Check this out.
Lately, every day seems like a Friday in America. Amazing things are happening. A momentum for peace, protecting women and girls in sports, bringing manufacturing back to America again. Peace through strength. The hits keep on rolling, getting rid of DEI. This stuff is pure American, and I do believe 90% of the country will ultimately be behind it. It is stuff that wouldn't have even been debatable not too long ago, all right? That's the agenda. Make America great again. We had a great country where we had two parties that kind of disagreed, but reasonably so. Now it is, anyway, we're getting better, and we're getting better fast. Look at this, getting rid of illegal migrant criminal aliens. Now, then again, judges are trying to make it a hard time, right? I mean, the Tren de Aragua guys, they think they should stay in America. Ooh, we don't know. This is a very unfortunate situation. I mean, all these, they're not citizens and they're criminals, okay? They're not, the Constitution doesn't really apply. What other great things are happening? Groceries, okay, eggs. I mean, from the big things, the big strategic things, to the little things, we are on our way to greatness. And also this.
Oh. Sorry, guys. Got to get from the music.
DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. The Interior, they're the guys who look after the parks, right? The national parks. Who's been to Yellowstone? Amazing place, right? With that geyser every so often and the buffaloes all over the place. Well, the national parks actually had a survey online that they wanted people who went to the park to take. You know, did you enjoy your experience? Did you not enjoy your experience? I mean, who do you blame if you don't have a good experience at a national park, right? I mean, is it the Rock's fault? Are you going to blame the buffalo? Anyway, that thing was costing about $1 billion a year, and they weren't doing anything with the data, right? I mean, what do you do if somebody really liked the park? Great. What do you do if somebody didn't like the park? Great. You're not going to change the park. If you want to know more about this, and quite frankly, I've been digging deep, you got to go to, let me show you on my phone here, doge.gov. It's very easy. It's right there, and all of the highlights, you can check on them, sometimes on an hourly basis, but pretty much every day. Here's something. They got rid of, how many? 300,000 government credit cards. That just happened a little while ago. And it's just the kind of stuff that we always thought should be done, right? In the government, or by somebody smart in the government, and they're actually doing it, and it's pretty awesome. But there is resistance. Right now, I see it this way. America versus the swamp, okay? You got Trump on one side, Trump and MAGA, and the great people around him, and all the people who voted for him, and even, I think, a huge chunk of people who didn't vote for him, who are kind of seeing the light, versus the swamp, the people who don't want these things to happen, the people who want to perhaps sabotage this administration. And I'm getting to this whole signal text thing with the Houthis and this National Security Advisor and Pete Hegseth and the rest. I do think it's sabotage. I proved it last night, or at least offered some pretty substantial circumstantial evidence. And here's a little bit more. Did we think that the swamp was just going to give up with Donald Trump back in the Oval Office? Let's just review pretty quick here. When he won in 2016, that was a shock, and a shock like they never felt before down there. He beat Hillary Clinton, a mortal sin. Yet ever since, they have to correct that. They have to take him down. What did they do first? Well, a lot of things, but this was key. They convened a meeting in the White House on January 5th of 2017. Obama was there, Biden was there, the director of the FBI, the director of national intelligence. They were all there, and they plotted and schemed to get Trump.
Yes.
They launched a phony counterintelligence investigation. It led to the 2 phony impeachments and the Russia hoax, and it almost sabotaged the administration, but through force of will and popularity, he was able to get so much done. So by the time the State of the Union rolled around in 2020,
I remember this. She rips it up.
The vision I will lay out this evening demonstrates how we are building the world's most prosperous and inclusive society, one where every citizen can join in America's unparalleled success, and where every community can take part in America's extraordinary rise.
Who could actually oppose that agenda? I'm telling you, when you listen to it, it is American. It is kind of irresistible. Everybody is involved in America. We want prosperity for all.
100%. Guys, again, the winning is happening, and the winning is happening. And guys, no matter what, again, what I'm about to show you is that everybody, not just people that are MAGA, but other people are starting to really turn for accountability to all the people that have lied and spread propaganda for so many years. Listen to this, because they're trying to make a big deal about the signal chat and all this stuff, and it's already done. But look how even the accountability that's happening on a channel you wouldn't think so. Check this out.
Did you call for Lloyd Austin's resignation? Not only did we lose 13 service members, we left $70 billion worth of equipment that fell into the hands of the Taliban. A couple of years later, he was out of pocket for 2 weeks and didn't tell the White House. Did you ask for him to resign at this point? Are you actually asking for Hegseth and Waltz to resign when you didn't ask for Lloyd Austin?
There is nothing that Lloyd Austin did by getting health care treatment.
Okay, what about Afghanistan? What about Afghanistan? Did you guys forget that? The statute of limitations is over for 4 years? That's what
the fact
Mark
that the
Warner
Secretary of Defense was getting health care is fundamentally different from the Secretary of Defense sharing on an unsecure...
You see how he's not saying anything about Afghanistan? He's talking about whenever he was out of commission, and he knows he got caught.
Platform.
It was. You just said it was a success. Afghanistan was not a success.
I am not saying that the attack on the Houthis was not a success. I am saying that he demonstrably violated a directive that was just shared in the Pentagon about don't use signal for classified information. It is not reliably secure. And one of the folks on that group chat was in Russia at the time that information was being
on a secure line.
Look, all of us use apps like WhatsApp.
You're running out the clock on Afghanistan.
You're running out information.
You're running out the clock on.
It was a mistake for Donald Trump to negotiate with the Taliban an agreement for winding down the Afghanistan war.
Afghanistan was Donald Trump's fault?
If you'd let me finish my sentence, I will.
No, that's what you did say.
Direction.
That you did say that.
It was a mistake to negotiate an end to that war that put Biden in a box. The execution of the withdrawal from Afghanistan was badly handled, and the loss of those 13 Marines was a tragedy.
Should you have asked for Lloyd Austin's resignation from that, or?
I don't know whether Lloyd Austin's the person who should have been held accountable for it, but there should have been accountability.
When General Miles.
Yeah, and nothing happened. Nobody got asked to resign. Biden kept saying it was such a success, which just shows you, again, no matter what it is, the Democrats can literally lose service members and still nobody is held accountable. Nobody is asked to resign. The whole Houthi, everything that happened that was a success. Nobody died on our side. But yet they're asking for resignation at the highest level. Bunch of hypocrites, but I got to show you some more, guys, because when we show you these other like MSNBC, CBS, CNN, when the truth comes out and people are getting the smackdown, it's a good day. Look at this.
And accountability.
I think Republicans aren't interested in any lectures on accountability in the military after the Biden administration. I mean, the bar for getting rid of a Secretary of Defense is apparently pretty high. You can get 13 people killed and go AWOL and not tell the commander-in-chief, and that's not a fireable offense. He did these lectures about accountability and national...
Guys, if you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, thank you so much for your support.
Security after letting 10 million people into the country who raped and murdered and committed violent acts and no remorse or accountability.
What are you talking
no
about?
More lectures.
No
more lectures about national security. This was a hugely successful mission. The decision was righteous. The strike was the exact right thing to do, and it was executed flawlessly.
He was not on that signal chain. But the idea that he didn't know about it when he was first asked about it and the extent to which he doesn't know seems rather deliberate.
If he didn't know and he didn't have the facts or he hadn't been briefed on it, what is the alternative here? To go out and make something up or to say, I don't know. I haven't been told. And my understanding is he didn't know about it. He wasn't on it. Maybe he wasn't even aware what signal is. I mean, it is not inconceivable that the president, when I didn't see the timestamps on these questions, didn't actually have enough information to comment publicly at the time on any of these matters. It's not It's not out of the ordinary for a president to hold back until they have all the facts or all the things they need to know to make a legitimate
He
comment.
has not been briefed and he can't speak to it.
And what's worse, a president not having all the information he needs to make a legitimate comment, so he holds back in the moment before being ready to make a comment, or, I don't know, willfully lying to the American people about the condition of the President of the United States, which went on for 4 years in this country by all of your colleagues.
That is totally wrong.
What's
That
worse?
is totally
What's worse?
wrong. That
What's
is
worse?
totally wrong.
I hope you read all the books that are coming out. I hope you read all the books that are coming out.
Joe Biden. I mean,
You guys
I don't
are
know if you're a
upset
judge.
that
If
Trump
you're a
is
judge,
exhibiting some, I want to get more facts, and I'm going to be lectured by the people who lied to the American people about the condition of the president?
Oh my God.
No way.
No, but
Not gonna take
that's first of all, that's outrageous.
Is
That's
it?
No,
outrageous.
it's not.
Yes, it is.
You
I
think
did
the
not
truth was
lie.
told? You think the truth was told?
I will say.
Did the White
and
House
I
tell the
look forward
truth?
to this. I will look forward to this discussion.
Do you all believe the truth was told about Biden?
Scott, do you want government or do you want your lick back? Because even if all of that happened in the past, we're in the present now. So we need a president that is capable.
And
and
so what? He said,
competent.
I don't know. What did it hurt your life that he said, I don't know?
You
One
can't
time?
keep using that Biden did it. Biden did it.
Sure,
Biden
I
did
can.
it. But you
Of
cannot
course I
write
can.
that for 4 years.
I absolutely
and expect
can.
the country to move
I
forward.
100% can.
You cannot.
Biden wrote it for 4 years on Trump, and Obama wrote it for 8 years on George W. Bush. You're damn right. We were right here.
Ooh!
Please.
Boom! Laying the smackdown, guys. That's our boy Scott Jennings. I love it because, again, too, on these other platforms, there's every now and then, guys, that we're going to get the smackdown, and I got to show you it. United States says that they will no longer provide aid to Ukraine for free, Zelensky says. Why? Because Zelensky also came out and said that Ukraine will not recognize U.S. military aid as loans. All right, so if you don't want to work with us on how we do things, we're just going to cut you off. Because I'm telling you this guy, and how many times we have just overly given so much that we're not talking about millions, we're not talking about billions, guys. We're talking about trillions of dollars that we have given out, and we've never been repaid back. And the American people are suffering for it. And it's about dang time that change. And again, too, when it comes to the propaganda, it doesn't get no more propaganda than this, but this is about to change as well. Check it out.
When was the last time you listened to NPR? Seriously, I bet it's been a while. Try listening tomorrow. Let me know what you think. I guarantee it will not take long for you to get what I'm talking about when you listen to NPR. NPR stands for National Public Radio, but it should be called WDR, Washington Democrat Radio, because that's what it's become. NPR is so far to the left that it doesn't even appeal to regular old Democrats anymore. And it's turned into this taxpayer-funded far-left broadcast network designed to appeal to people who live within 5 miles of the U.S. Capitol building, and that's where we start tonight. The U.S. Capitol building, by the way, actually less than a mile from NPR's $200 million government-funded headquarters. And you might think, well, isn't that a good thing, being so close to the action? At one point in time, I'm sure it was. I'm sure when NPR was originally founded in 1970, it had the best intentions. But over the last 50 years, part of the reason that NPR and PBS have swung so wildly to the left is because they are both headquartered in the bluest city in America. It is a fact that there are more registered Democrats living in Washington, D.C. than any other big city in America, meaning everyone who works at NPR is a Democrat. And I mean everyone. Reporters, editors, directors, even the janitor, to the point where one of those editors, a Biden voter himself, decided to expose all of this last year. His name's Yuri Berliner, and he wrote in the Free Press, quote, "I've been at NPR for 25 years, and here's how we lost America's trust." Quote, "Today, those who listen to NPR or read its coverage online will find the distilled worldview of a very small segment of the U.S. population. And it is remarkable how little Catherine Marr, the CEO of NPR, seems to know about her own company."
In the D.C. area, editorial positions at NPR, he said he found 87 registered Democrats, 0 Republicans. Is that accurate?
We do not track the numbers or the voter registration.
And maybe that's because Catherine Maher has an agenda herself. Hey, Kat, hey. She's a woman who really seems to dislike white men, who travel by plane to make money to support their families. Here's one of her tweets. Airline business class demographics are such a pet peeve of mine. In the lounge and on the plane, usually 80% male and 80% white. What an awful thing to think, let alone tweet. But Catherine Maher, a blonde white woman herself from Connecticut who went to NYU, who makes $800,000 taxpayer dollars a year, by the way, really seems to dislike white men.
The fact of the matter is that most written knowledge today has been written by white, colonial, European, North American men. And so one of the things that we're really focused on is how do we think about correcting the record? How do we think about writing people into history? How do we think about writing people into the present who haven't been represented in the same way?
Okay, do you still think the federal government should be giving that woman right there millions of your dollars every year to spend? Yesterday, the CEOs of NPR and PBS testified on Capitol Hill in a last-ditch effort to save themselves, save their jobs. I've never seen anything like it. All these two women had to do was show up and apologize and then outline a plan of how they are going to change their news coverage, to change how they cover Republicans specifically. But they couldn't even do that. And now, National Public Radio and the Public Broadcast Service, which is not a service to anyone anymore, are about to lose their federal funding, something that probably should have happened years ago.
Do you believe that America is addicted to white supremacy?
I believe that I tweeted that, and as I've said earlier, I believe much of my thinking has evolved over the last half decade.
Do you believe that America believes in black plunder and white democracy?
I don't believe that, sir.
You
Don't know where
tweeted
statement
that in
comes from.
reference to a book you were reading at the time, apparently, The Case for Reparations.
I don't think I've ever read that book, sir.
NPR and PBS both get about 15% of their annual budget from the federal government, and that 15% amounts to millions of dollars every year to cover the news like this. You might remember this story. Here's the official statement from Terrence Samuels, NPR managing editor, about the Hunter Biden laptop story just before the 2020 election. Quote, "We don't want to waste our time on stories that are not really stories, and we don't want to waste our readers and listeners' time on stories that are just pure distractions." We'll get back to that in a moment. But here's NPR CEO Catherine Maher once again trying to explain why her fake news organization, again, not National Public Radio, but Washington Democrat Radio, chose to ignore that story.
He said Russiagate faded from our programming. Is that accurate?
Again, I was not there at the time. I couldn't say.
October 2020, the New York Post had the Hunter Biden laptop story, and one of those editors, I guess one of those 87 Democrat editors, said this: "We don't want to waste our time on stories that are not really stories. We don't want to waste the listeners' and readers' times on stories that are just pure distractions." Was that a pure distraction story?
Our current editorial leadership believes that that was a mistake, as do I.
How about the COVID origin story? That's a pretty big story too, right? Turns out, though, the lab leak is what most people think actually caused the COVID virus.
Sorry, is there a question there?
There is. You guys were 0 for 3 on the three of the biggest stories in the last 5 years. You guys were 0 for 3, and yet you maintain that NPR is not biased?
Congressman, I do not believe we are politically biased. No, we are a nonpartisan organization.
Nonpartisan organization.
Oh, that's a lie.
All she had to do was apologize, and she could continue to make $800,000 of your dollars a year. Here's the NPR mission statement. It says, quote, "The mission of NPR is to produce, acquire, and distribute programming that meets the highest standards of public service in journalism and cultural expression." Are they doing that? Again, tomorrow. Give NPR a listen. It's the exact same thing with PBS. Here's their mission statement. PBS serves the American public with programming and services of the highest quality, using the media to educate, inspire, entertain, and express a diversity of perspectives. Sure, PBS, if those perspectives come from the left, right? To me, they have both served a purpose, but those days of serving a purpose are over, and the playing field should be leveled. They should have to earn their keep in the marketplace just like the rest of us, and not get rewarded with millions of dollars of taxpayer money just to help Democrats win elections, because that's what they're doing now, and that's what they've done for decades. And by the way,
Boom.
NPR didn't acknowledge the Hunter Biden laptop story until 17 months after it was first reported by the New York Post. At that time, Joe Biden was safely in the White House.
Guys, again, do you see the exposure coming out? Because what I'm about to show you next, guys, is so powerful when it comes to what we said at the beginning. Our systems are never going to be the same again. They're going to reauthorize all the payments that are made to everybody. So that way they can catch all the fraudsters. And then once they catch all the fraudsters, all the scammers, they're going to give that money back to like our seniors, back to like our those on Medicare, Medicaid, help them get an increase. And this is where it really is putting the rubber to the road of helping Americans out now. Listen to this.
I've been at my desk for 8 weeks, and one of the things that we've done is we make 1.5 billion payments a year, and we want to make sure that all of those are authorized. And one of the ways to do that, I came in and found out that a third of the payments that we sent out did not have proper identifiers on them to tie them back to an appropriation to a department. So we're just starting with the basics. And I'm very big on crawl, walk, run. And so we're going to stop crawling. We're going to get up, walk, have everything properly identified, and then we're going to fix these antiquated IT systems and make sure that they are safe and sound, and that people get their checks in a more robust basis. I've been at my desk.
Guys? That is what change looks like. People that know how things are supposed to be, know that things need to change in order to get better, and are willing to do it, guys. This is what I love. And then also, too, more of the pit bulls are coming out to give us more good news about what's actually happening in Congress. Check this out.
Texas Senator Ted Cruz. Senator Cruz, how do you respond to a Democratic Congresswoman suggesting you should be knocked over the head?
Look, I don't know her. She's a congresswoman from Dallas. I've never met her. As far as I can tell, she's never done anything in the House of Representatives other than scream obscenities. But I'll say it's sad. It's really sad that this is where the Democrat Party is. You know, you were talking a minute ago in your last segment about how the Democrat Party, they're floundering. They don't stand for anything other than rage and hatred. They hate Donald Trump. They hate Elon Musk. They're now the party of violence. She's happily calling for violence. You know what? We see death threats across the board. By the way, Donald Trump had 2 assassination attempts, and that kind of rhetoric it plays into it.
Yep.
You know, it is unfortunate to see the rage we're seeing right now, domestic terrorism, directed at Tesla dealerships with radical leftists coming in with Molotov cocktails, bombs. We had bombs in an Austin Tesla dealership, firing guns. Somebody's going to get killed. And at some point, the Democrat Party needs to stop being out of their minds. Like when I was first elected 13 years ago to the Senate, there was such a thing as moderate Democrats. They're not anymore. They now just are the party of rage and hatred and extremism, and that's an unfortunate thing for our country.
Senator Cruz, I'm hoping you can straighten something out for me, because I have so many Democrats who say to me, look, there's all this rage at Republican town halls. That was the talking point, the viral talking point. But then, I read the Washington Post, and Democratic voters are calling their own party lame. I've seen sound bites of people screaming down Democratic members like Glenn Ivey. It seems like the rage is from the Democratic Party at their town halls. What are you seeing?
Well, listen, I think the, quote, rage at Republican town halls was entirely astroturf. We saw the left paying and hiring left-wing activists to show up at town halls. George Soros, there's a whole apparatus where they fund. I'll tell you something, Kaylee. So last year, for about 7 months, I had every Saturday morning at 7 a.m. pro-Hamas
protesters in front of my house. They would show up at 7 a.m. They would scream at the top of their lungs. They would bang bells. They would scream curse words. They'd drop F-bombs. They'd wake up the small children who live in the houses nearby me. And what was interesting is they would show up at 7 a.m. and they'd leave at 8. It was clearly paid for.
Wow.
They were being paid. As far as I can tell, these protesters were not Palestinian. They were just leftists who were getting a paycheck. 7 a.m. they were there. 8 o'clock, 8:01 they were gone. And it went for about 7 months, and then it disappeared. They've never come back. And it was clear, whoever was writing the paycheck, at some point they decided, all right, we've harassed my family long enough. Let's go harass someone else. It was entirely fake. It was paid for. And so when I look at these town halls, I think the people showing up are leftists who are getting a paycheck, who are trying to create the corporate media is more than happy to be complicit and say, oh, voters are mad. I'll tell you, when I'm home in Texas, Texans are thrilled. We're thrilled the border is being secured.
Yes.
A 98% drop in illegal immigration. We're thrilled the president is standing up to our enemies. We're thrilled that the war on Texas energy and American oil and gas has ended. We're thrilled. I got to tell you, in my whole life, I've never seen a president hit the ground running the way Donald Trump has, and it is extraordinary. And what I'm hearing from Texans is a lot of gratitude. You know, last week on my podcast, Verdict with Ted Cruz, I interviewed Elon Musk. I did an hour-long one-on-one interview, and one of the things I conveyed to him is I said, Elon, before I did this interview, I tweeted out, hey, if you could have a beer with Elon, what would you say to him? The most frequent comment I had, and I passed this on to Elon, was Texans and Americans saying thank you. Thank you for enduring the vilification, the demonization. Thank you for standing up and fighting alongside President Trump to save this country. That's what I'm hearing.
You know, I only have a few moments, Senator Cruz, but I do want to ask you about a cryptocurrency bill you have passed the Senate. It should be going to President Trump's desk, and it's rolling back the abusive regulations of President Biden. Is that right?
That's exactly right. The Biden administration, in the closing days of the administration, put in place an IRS rule attacking cryptocurrency, attacking decentralized finance, and treating those engaged in decentralized finance as broker-dealers. It would have put an enormous amount of people in the crypto world out of business. It was wrong, so I introduced a resolution to repeal it. We brought it up for a vote on the floor of the Senate, and we got a massive bipartisan vote. We got about 70 votes for repealing that rule. It is the single largest vote in history for a repeal of a regulation. And listen, one of the big issues in this last election was Bitcoin and crypto. I am the leading defender of Bitcoin and the leading defender of crypto in the United States Senate, and the left hates Bitcoin and crypto. Elizabeth Warren hates Bitcoin and crypto for the same reason communist China does, because government can't control it. And Kelly, that's why I love it.
Man, 70 votes. So there are a few Democrats who believe in the free market, at least for crypto. Well, that's encouraging. Senator Ted Cruz, thank you.
Guys, is that not amazing? Like, I seriously love it whenever it's like, well, what's going to happen? Well, the government's going to have less control. Yes, I love it. We don't need that. And I got to show you this too, guys, because this gets about as real as it is on the delusional mindset of so many liberal leftists. I want to say thank you so much, Gene Kopich, for the super chat. Let's go. Said Catherine Mayer of NPR is confusing the truth with consensus. Truth is whatever she says it is. 100%. And that is corruption that shouldn't be funded by the federal government. Y'all show Gene some love in the chat. Let's go. Guys, listen to this. Because this is gone viral. And you can't make this stuff up. This is 100% real.
Old are your granddaughters?
They are 6 and 8.
Would you support them to get hormone blockers to become the other gender?
I would absolutely support them to get hormone blockers. The idea of one of my granddaughters learning that they're going to start having their period if they don't get their hormones blocked, even though they're identifying and portraying as a male. How horrible that would be. So yes, definitely.
If your granddaughter came to you and wanted to get a tattoo, what would you say?
That would be more difficult. I always told my 3 sons the one thing I ask is please don't get tattoos.
Really? Why Why tattoos?
There's just something so permanent about it.
Permanent?
It's pretty permanent. It's very difficult to get them lasered off or removed.
You don't think it's like permanent to change your gender?
Complete and utter delusion, guys. You cannot make this stuff up. If you appreciate this, guys, sometimes we like to throw in funny videos. If you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, and if you don't, guys, if you're not subscribed, consider joining the True Life News family, guys. We're here to serve you. We love y'all so much that, you know, we're building this community of people that want to see America win, that want to see our kids be the best that they can be. They want to see our seniors be taken care of, want to see everybody win. And that's what I love that we are moving towards in our country. And want to give some love to the members of the channel. Let's go. If you want to be a member, the link is in the description to join. And remember, we use the memberships and we use the super chats to give back to charity once a month live on stream. Elizabeth Ross Watson, welcome to the family. Y'all show Elizabeth some love in the chat, as well as Patricia Hettinger, Karen K, Mr. Tracy J. Norby, Judy Lynn Loving Spirit, Gene Kopedge. Guys, y'all show them some love. Y'all are so amazing. I love getting to serve you every single day, guys. We got so much good stuff coming. This is awesome. I'm excited. And I'm just so grateful because we actually have true patriots back in the White House. Love you all. We'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.